Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to be talking about graphic sources. So with our story, Seeing Stars, there are a lot of graphic sources in it. And graphic sources are ways and sources to get information. Now, graphic sources could include charts, maps, diagrams, illustrations, and more. Graphic sources are really awesome because they help us better understand the text. They help you better understand what you read, so it's helping your comprehension. Now here's a few examples of some graphic sources. Okay, a graphic source may be a chart. In your reading you may see a chart. And a chart gives information in the form of a table, a list, a diagram, or a graph. Okay, you could also have a caption that goes along with a picture. So here's a picture. Okay, the caption is the words that go with the picture. The caption is a brief description that accompanies an illustration or a photograph. This caption says the male lion sleeps 18 to 20 hours a day. So this is your photograph or your illustration, your picture, and then the caption's the words that go with it that explain it. Okay, that's another graphic source. You may also have a timeline in your reading. A timeline is a list of events put in an order of sequence, okay, in an order of occurrence from when they happen here. Like this is a life of George Washington, so obviously with a person it's going to start when that person was born, and then really important events in that person's life on the timeline, and eventually until they pass away, until their death. That's a timeline. Okay, there's also something that's called a table of contents. Table of contents falls under graphic sources. Table of contents you've seen in your reading book. I'm sure your teachers have shown you. But in the front of the reading book and other books, social studies, science, other non-fiction books, will have a table of contents to help you find page numbers for certain things that you're looking for. So the table of contents is a list of the book's sections or chapters and their pages that you will find them on. Another graphic source could be keywords. Now you've seen in your social studies books, in your reading books, your vocab words, your keywords are highlighted, usually in yellow. Keywords are important and emphasized words and phrases. Now they could be highlighted in yellow, they could be capitalized, maybe they're in a variety of colors, they're underlined, they're in italic, or they're bold. Keywords are graphic sources. You could also have a diagram as a graphic source. Here we have a diagram. It's labeled. It's a labeled illustration. It helps to explain the text. Well, we have this lion here, and this diagram is labeled. His body, his tail, his paws, his mane. The diagram is labeled to help you better understand things. Also, in nonfiction text, you would have graphic sources that may include headings or subheadings. So here's a heading. A heading is a title. A subheading is word and phrases or sentences or possibly a question that highlights a key point in a selection or a section. Okay, so lions in the wild, that tells us right away what you'll be reading about. That's a heading. You could also have a glossary. Now, a glossary, for instance, in your social studies book would be at the end of the book. A glossary is a list of words and their definitions found at the end of the book. So in a glossary, it's going to look like a dictionary. It would have a word. This word is carnivore. So it would have a word, and then it would also include its definition. It has the word and have definitions. That's the glossary of a book. Okay. Another graphic source is a photograph or an illustration. A real-life picture is a photograph. An illustration is a drawing that relates to the text. And graphic sources also would include maps. A map is a drawing or a picture showing selected features of an area. And it could also include the index. In your nonfiction books, it would include indexes where it has key pages where you could find information. Animals, page 14. Prey, page 16. An index is an alphabetical list of important subjects in the text and their page numbers. Those are all different kinds of graphic sources. And in Seeing Stars, it uses many graphic sources. Okay? So if you have this page of graphic sources, has this rocket ship on it, and it's page 173. If you have that, get that out with a pencil. If not, just follow along. Okay, I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Now remember, graphic sources are sources of information such as maps, charts, diagrams, illustrations, and photographs. Graphic sources help us better understand the text that we are reading. Now, we are going to read the following passage. Then we're going to look at the graphic sources given and answer the questions. Okay, so our passage, it says 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. The United States has sent many rockets, satellites, and space shuttles into space as part of its space program. One of the biggest challenges for all these vehicles is escaping the pull of the Earth's gravity. It takes rocket fuel and oxygen to launch a vehicle away from Earth and through, we're up here now, through Earth's atmosphere. At the time of a shuttle launch, the solid rocket boosters lift the shuttle off the launch pad about 28 miles above Earth. The booster separates from the shuttle. From there, the main engine of the shuttle uses fuel in the large external tank to get beyond Earth's atmosphere and into space. Okay? So here we have writing that goes with our diagram. We have labels on the diagram. All of that must be read to comprehend, to better understand what the author wants you to know about to go with this passage. It says the space shuttle has three main sections. Two of the three parts shown here contain fuel to propel astronauts beyond Earth's atmosphere. Then the three main sections are labeled. Here it shows you where the external fuel tank is. It shows you the solid rocket boosters here. Then you have the orbiter here. Okay, so this is a diagram that is labeled. What is this article about? Question 1. Question 2, why did the author include a diagram in this article? And question 3, how many main sections does the space shuttle have? Okay, well, what is this article about is our first question. What do you think? What's the whole article about? So question number 1, what is this article about? Okay, so this article, what's the whole thing pretty much about? Well, it's not just about space shuttles. It also talks about rockets, and it talks about satellites. So I would say it's about all of those kinds of things that can be launched. So we would say it's about launching space vehicles. The whole thing is about launching different space vehicles. And a lot of kids would put it's about launching shuttles and rockets and satellites, and that would be okay too. I'm going to put them all into one group and call them space vehicles because it does use the word vehicles here, these vehicles. So launching space vehicles. Okay, number 2, what did the author, or why? It's like why. So we have what and we have why, and then we'll have how. Why did the author include the diagram in this article? Well, again, the graphic sources are to help you better understand, to help you better comprehend. So the author included it to help the reader better understand how the space shuttle flies into space. So it's to help the reader better understand about the space shuttle, because this is the space shuttle. So the author included this diagram to help the reader better understand how the space shuttle works. Better understand just the space shuttle, I guess. The space So what is it about launching space vehicles into space? Okay, why did the author include the diagram? This is a diagram. The author included this diagram to help the reader better understand the space shuttle. Okay, this is about the space shuttle. Labels gives you a good picture, good illustration, and it labels it. How many main sections does the space shuttle have? Well, if you go back here at the very beginning, it says the 3 main sections. So there's three main sections. Now, this is the labels on the diagram. These words over here, do you remember what they're called? Words that go along with a picture or a diagram or an illustration are called a caption. So the words are the caption that explain the picture or the diagram. And then these words are labels that go along with it. It clearly gives you a better understanding than what the space shuttle is like. Okay, boys and girls, so that's one way, one good example of how a graphic organizer, I apologize, a graphic source, how a graphic source could help you better comprehend, better understand what the reading is about, better understand the information in the article or the passage. All right, boys and girls, have a great day, and keep, whatever you're doing, keep using these graphic sources because they're going to help you understand your reading. Thank you.